Hello students, and welcome to step 1 of chapter 11. In chapter 11 we're going to learn how to divide our page into separate containers so they can be manipulated and handled separately using the div, the divider tag, okay? So let's start off by, I assume that you've all downloaded the lounge folder for chapter 11 that looks like this. And open lounge.html in Notepad. I'm using Notepad++ as I usually do. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to create a div around the section of Elixir specials. So if you scroll down your page to the section that starts with weekly Elixir specials right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter to leave a little space. Arrow up, and here's where we're going to create our div. So create a div space id equals, and we're going to call it elixirs. It can be called anything, but we're going to call it something that makes sense. In this case, elixirs is the section we're working with here. Okay, and then I'm going to close the bracket here, and then I'm going to close the div way at the end of all of. Now I'll show you on the web page in a second which section we're dealing with here. So I'm going to close the div right here. Close div. Alright, so what I've basically done is selected the section of the page that has all the pictures of the drinks. See, it starts here and it ends with the link, which we can't see because the bottom of the page. Oh no, here it is, right here. This is where we're going to close the div right after this line here. Okay? So that's where we're at right now. So now that we have a div around that section, I'm going to open up lounge.css in Notepad. Here we are. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a hashtag elixirs. So now we're going to start styling that div. Now make sure you spell this right. Okay, because if you don't, nothing's going to work. Alright, so I usually like to tab. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put border hyphen width colon thin semicolon, and then we're going to put border hyphen style colon solid. It's going to be a solid border, semicolon, and then finally we're going to put a border color, border hyphen color, colon, and we're going to use a hexadecimal number of 007E, 7E, semicolon. Okay, so that's our style for our elixirs div. So now when we control S here, and I want to make sure that I save lounge.html as well, control S here, when I refresh my page, you will see that I now have that color, hexadecimal color border. It's thin and it's solid around the elixir div. Okay, so now let's go back to Lounge and let's add lounge.css. And let's add a width element to this div. So we're going to just make the whole entire width colon. For some reason my keyboard's not working right today. 200 px semicolon. Control S. Now that should change the width of the entire div to 200 pixels. Okay, so there it is. Now what we're going to learn, we're going to leave it at this width throughout this chapter, and as you can see there's a lot of wasted space here, which is never a good thing in web design. But we're going to learn in the next chapter how to float elements on the page, so you'll learn how to move this into certain locations on the page. But for now we're going to leave it like this because this is the way we want it. Okay. Okay, so now let's make some additional changes to the elixir div. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to add some padding. And remember, the padding is the space on the inside of the container. So padding would be from the edge of the container to where the text begins. Margin is from the edge of the page to where the container begins. Okay, so we're going inside. So we're going to say padding right. We're going to add some padding to the right-hand side. Okay, colon. We're going to make it 20 px. And then, in order to save a little bit of time here, I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to change padding right to padding bottom. And then I'm going to add a padding left. And then I'm going to add some margin. Remember, margin is from the edge of the page. So we're going to go margin left, colon, 20 px. And then we're going to go, we're going to use a text align. Remember text align, we're going to center align our text. Put center, and then finally we're going to add a background image. Okay, now I have an image inside the images folder, so I'm going to use one of those. Background image, colon, and the URL is to the images folder, so I'm going to type images / cocktail.gif. And the parentheses is closed, and then the semicolon. Okay, so that's a path to where the image is. And then I'm going to put repeat X. Now, there's repeat Y and there's repeat X. X is the horizontal axis, Y is the vertical axis. So we want that picture to repeat at the very top of the container. So we're going to say background hyphen, and I should see this as soon as I type the R. There it is. Repeat. Background hyphen repeat. Repeat X. Okay? Semicolon. Control S to save all my changes. Now when I refresh the page, I see that I have the image repeating on the X-axis. I have all my text aligned center. I have a padding of 20 pixels here. And I also have a margin of 20 pixels on the left-hand side that I didn't have before. Okay? So everything seems to be in order here. I'm going to stop step 1 right now. Thank you for watching.